All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do review of the Swamp Thing Scott Snyder Deluxe Edition from DC Comics by Yanick Paquette and Scott Snyder and a whole lot of other creators in here. So this is a hardcover trade paperback. Collects. This is the new 52 Swamp Thing, by the way. It collects 1 to 18, Animal Man 12, 17, and the Swamp Thing Annual. And I just read it, this week, and I want to talk about it. So first of all, I'm going to, remove this because that's a little bit easier to, for me to review. So hardcover, wraparound, and so I grew up with the very old Swamp Thing, but I was not really into Swamp Thing. It was not really my thing. But people have criticized the new 52 line a lot, but there's a lot of things in there, in my opinion, from the new 52, especially Aquaman. I think Aquaman was really good. Animal Man, I haven't have the complete edition yet, but I read a couple of issues. I think that was really good. And I thought to myself, you know what, I need to dive into Swamp Thing, right? Because what I saw is really, fun. And since this, I don't know, it's now October, right? So Halloween month and horror month and all that stuff. I thought, you know what, let's dive in. By the way, it's 512 pages. I bought it secondhand, by the way, and I looked it up on, on the internet, and it's pretty expensive now. I saw on Amazon it's $125 or something. I said, are you crazy? You could have bought this for $50 new. Yeah. Anyway, so when it comes to art, let's talk about that. It's a little bit hit and miss for me, mostly a hit. The art is very good, but somehow the some renditions of certain heroes looks a little bit weird. So we have here Alec Holland here, who is, the Swamp Thing. And I don't have everything before that. So maybe this is a new jump-in point for new readers. Who knows? And then it seems there's some kind of a weird thing on in the world. And Superman comes in. I never, ever liked this Superman. The costume is all wrong. They removed the spit curl, I guess. And he looks weird in here. Look at his chin. And his facial expression is non-existent. And so it seems that, I don't know, birds falling out of the sky, and there's some weird stuff going on. And so Superman wants basically to check on Alec Holland here, right? Because he thinks he's a little bit connected to the Swamp Thing. And but Alec says, well, my powers are gone, and I don't have a connection with the Green anymore. And the Green is the big part of Swamp Thing. And he explains basically to Superman about, he's a botanist and he's now, I don't know, working for a living, just living a normal life. And he says that when people think about flowers and trees and all that stuff, nature, they think that's, all, nice and peaceful, but it's not. He explains that the Green is actually very violent. He says this sorrel is choking the blackberry bush, and this bittersweet vine is strangling the populous tree sap, right? So it's not as peaceful as you think. Meanwhile, we have some guys here at this digging site of digging up this, and there is something going on. So this creature comes up, and he basically makes there's a fly flying in this guy's ear. He breaks his neck, and he becomes, I don't know, one of the undead or something. And everybody's getting infected here, and so there's a lot of body horror in here, which I like. Alec here has nightmares about him, being in the Green, and he's getting warnings and messages. And then he comes out, and it seems that he is, being greeted by the Swamp Thing. And I said, wait a minute, but Alec Holland is the Swamp Thing, right? Well, it seems that this guy was a previous Swamp Thing, because the Swamp Thing has been around for ages. So he died in the swamp, his body was taken over by the Green, and a new avatar arose. But eventually he died, and only his, part of the Swamp Thing is more like a avatar, right? Is speaking for him. basically saying that, hey, listen, I need to bring a message. Will you listen to me? And he explains that the rot. Now, the rot is along with the red. Now, the red, a little bit of as far as I know, and if you know more about the red than I am, is more connected to Buddy Baker, who is Animal Man. You know, he is the red's avatar. Well, Swamp Thing is the green, you know, the nature's avatar. But we have also the rot. Now, and this is this creature called Seph or Sephi, CT, not sure. He is the avatar of the rot, who is basically the decaying, the death, you know, the opposite of life. And basically they are, you know, in war with, you know, the green and the red for millennia. But now they have waited and wants to, I don't know, turn this world into, I don't know, zombie world, right? And I really like this part. He's getting attacked by all these creatures, and he's getting then saved by some kind of mysterious benefactor, who is none other than Abby Arcane. He is, or she is, his lover in a former life. And they know each other, but also not. And there is also the brother of Abby Arcane, and he cannot breathe oxygen, and he has, you know, there's some bullies here. So, hey, I'm gonna rip this tent open, and if you're getting exposed to air, you will die. But it seems that Alec has still control somewhat over the green. He didn't know that. And Abby wants to take him away from here because he is also part of the rot. Why? Because I believe her uncle or her father is a monster called Arcane. And Arcane is, he is basically the nemesis of Swamp Thing. You know, like Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus is to Spider-Man, and Brainiac and Luthor to Superman. But these are, you know, abominations. And yeah, he is accessing the rot, or the rot is basically speaking to him. And he becomes now also an avatar of the rot, hunting Alec Holland, right? And there's some gruesome stuff in here. The pages, when it comes to, you know, it's just very thin. It's also, it has the same size. I forgot about to talk about that. It's the same size of a floppy, but it's thin. But, you know, you have a lot of content, as you can see here. And when it comes to page layout, you see a lot of, you know, stuff like this. You know, it's not in squares and in white borders. You don't have that. It's a lot of mixing and matching and things going flow each other. And that makes this weird to read, but also fun to read, because it adds to the, you know, to the flora part of the Swamp Thing, but also to the horror part of the rot. And he's now in talk here with the Parliament. The Parliament is basically the power of the green come together, and when you die, you become part of the Parliament, basically the afterlife, right? So it's very deeply stowed away into the green and, you know, into the ground, or maybe part of this world that Alec is living here. Well, Abby here is more part of the rot. So it seems that the green, because he spoke to them in his dreams, that Abby is part of the rot, just part of the enemy, and he says, you need to kill her. But he says, no, I can't, because he has a connection with her, he loves her. And in the beginning, there is more like, when the story flows a little bit, you feel like this is The Walking Dead. But instead of zombies, it's more like dead animals, abominations. We see also flashbacks, and also that the rot is basically marching to the hidden part of the green. And you see him here, them stocking up with weapons and food. You know, feels very survival horror to you. And then, I don't know, William, who is now, like I said, the brother of Abby, he wants to kill Alec Holland here, because then he will be rising to power or stuff like that. But, you know, Alec still connection to the green. But if they are farther away from the green, the swamp, his powers are fading. And there is a plus that makes it, you know, that Alec is constantly in danger, which I like. The downside is that Alec is constantly weak. And The visuals are great here. Not everything is great, but when it comes to these visuals, the art, it looks fantastic, as you can see here. So the rod has found the green, and what happened is that he is now losing the connection to the green. Why? Because he found out, he's now being overtaken because William takes now Abby here, that whoever this minion of the rod here, he's found the green, and he's burning the parliament here, thus burning down the power, and then killing the green. Abby is here being encased in I don't know what, but she is now become, and she was already part of the rod, but it seems that they're doing something with her. So then we see maybe a future vision that parts of the world, the rod wants to take over the world, and it's all death and decay and all that stuff, and Alligator cannot do anything. And she is important because she's becoming, I don't know, the queen of Safi or whatever. So they bring her, the mission is to bring her to part of the rod where she become queen and being transformed. That's going to happen. Alex escapes, and Alec wants to, beg forgiveness, and he says, well, I need to save Abby. You need to transform me back into the Swamp Thing. But it's too late because the rod has already won, right? As you can see here, this is, again, great stuff. Body horror here and a lot of horror stuff. And he basically is now pleading with, the rod that is, burning to death. And he says, we cannot help you because we are too weak now. And Abby's now being located to a part of, wherever this is, and to become bride of Seth or whatever. And she is here in this cocoon being, turned into something else. Alec has a solution. Because he was a botanist, he made some kind of a fluid, a regenerative growth, and they can use that as a trigger point to transform him back into the Swamp Thing. So, but his body, his outer body, is being attacked, and it seems that the green protected him by, turn him into some kind of a salad, while all these people are just trying to get to his body and kill him. And Abby is also being transformed here by the rod. So it's going all simultaneously. So the fluids, this bio stuff is being opened. And then what I really like about this is this transformation parts going on. You see all this, stuff, which I really like, this visuals, right? Did you see his brain, his bloodstream is being taken over by veins and, part of the green. And he emerges. And this is what I really like. This is classic, Swamp Thing green. There is something I don't like, and that is appearance. His appearance is more like, basically they want him to be a king, like king of the green, like Buddy Baker, Animal Man is king of the red. King of the Rot, all that stuff. Look at this. This really comes out like a horror book. And the Rot is basically slowly taking over the world. And Alec here is, become the avatar of the green, and he's taking all of this census going on, like he sees the world as the Parliament sees as an avatar of the green. I don't like his look. I don't like his horns. I don't like his wings. I don't like his body. There's something, oh no, we're giving him power upgrade. I know why they do it because, the rod is winning. He needs to be stronger than everyone else. And he's going to fight for, it looks so cool, for, the green against the rod. So he comes to here fighting the rod. But then it's Abby. Abby has been transformed into this thing. And it looks really, really cool. I like this color scheme. And that she is, basically beating him. The downside is that, her becoming a threat that he needs to dispatch or fight against. A couple of pages in, he basically, appealed to her human nature. And in a couple of pages later, he makes a connection with her and she's back. I think, what? Why not make her also a new threat that you can fight against with, instead of a couple of pages? Because when I saw this, I think, oh man, this is so cool. And then a couple of pages, no, it's already over. And Abigail is now also partially transformed, and and she's fighting Seth, and he's been powering up, but she's now also have powers, and Seth is being dispatched like, I don't know, very easily. So the fight is basically nonsensical. I don't know what her powers is. It sees that she's, I know, making some kind of a death tornado. I really cannot see what's going on. And, well, Seth is gone. William is here trying, pleading to the rod, like this particular part here. So you think it's all over, right? No, it's not, because Arcane, the eternal enemy of the Swamp Thing, is now back. He's the new avatar of the rod. But wait a minute, I think Seth was the avatar of the rod, and he's pretty weak. So maybe he's been replaced, I don't know. And then we see also flashbacks about him murdering people. I like that. We see Abigail as a young girl, that she's been corrupted by her father or grandfather. And that part is really cool. Very horror-like, like this with the color scheme. It's very nicely done. Especially this part, the art looks really cool. So this is another avatar in the past, and it's basically, this is supposed to be Abigail, right, or some young girl, but oh no, it's Arcane. Basically, Arcane is as a he likes to slaughter swamp things, and he is also partially responsible for Alec Holland turning into the Swamp Thing because he thinks he has some kind of a power and he wants to take him out. He takes over the body of his wife. Somehow, also killing children, and like here, it's really well done. So she kills her, right? And then basically the origin is here. So this is the formula, I guess, and or is that some kind of a flame liquid? But the cabinet explodes in the swamp. He falls into the swamp, and normally that was the original storyline, and he's transformed into the Swamp Thing, right? But it seems that in this particular universe, his body is being destroyed so that the green could not get to him, because the green was basically, I'm not sure the word grooming is good, but he was supposed to be the next Swamp Thing in line, and Arcane basically destroying his body so they cannot do it. But somehow they brought him basically using his essence, his brain, his soul, and put it into a man-made or green-made avatar, basically weakening the Swamp Thing. Now I'm skipping a few pages, so Buddy Baker also comes in. Now the downside of this whole story is, and this whole storyline is, that I think you need to read the New 52 Animal Man to get the full scope of what's going on here, and the storyline with Buddy Baker and his daughter, who is taking over the mantle, but she has animal powers. She's basically the next in line. And there's a storyline too, and what the continuation here is that they are going into the rot and trying to stop the rot because Seth was destroyed. And they think it's going to be, that rod is weakened. So they go after him, but it was a trap by Arcane, and he's cutting off the connection to the real world, because he has some kind of a vein to the real world. That vein is now destroyed, and they are being attacked by monsters that coming out of the portal of the swamp here, while they are falling down into the rod world. But it's not really the rod world. It's being transformed into the future, where 1 year later the rod has won, and we have Poison Ivy and Deadman, and Abby, I believe this is part of the real world still, is is going to her land where she grew up, and it's somewhere in Europe. And she believes that Arcane is there trying to stop them. While here in the future, Heroes has been transformed, killed, and from this part on is some kind of a superhero-esque storyline, which is cool, but it takes away from the horror. And this is the flashback how Abby and Alec met in the past, and that, here Alec is also getting attacked by his eternal avatar. So skipping a few pages here, this is all in the future, and they want to go to part of the rot here, or part of the place, to stop Arcane, like a final battle along with heroes that still survived. But it's basically a never-ending horde of evil that they have to, go to. But they go to Gotham, and it seems that Swamp Thing is meeting with, Batman, but Batman is already gone. He has been transformed into some kind of an evil, creature of himself, as you can see here. And he's been saved by none other than Barbara Gordon, who's been transformed into Man-Bat. Yeah, right? Somehow. I don't know how, but, this is all in the future. Basically, it's nothing, I'm not saying nothing matters, but, they're fighting for the future, and we have a distorted Superman. And I guess I lost here a little bit of the plot, because I think this is also part of the Animal storyline that we don't have, because, it's happening in Animal Man. So, but they come up with a solution to stop Arcane and his minions, and basically creating some kind of a bat robot that's restored the formula. The formula needs to go into the air, and then releasing the gases, saving the day. And there's a big fight, but like I said, the big fight is with, Arcane, the minions, clones of Abigail, perverted, and then, basically, here's this, they are on the rocket, and then this big explosion. So I'm showing a lot of spoilers here, but then the threat is not over. It seems that the Rot is not happy with Arcane. He is a more twisted version of their avatar, and that was not their goal at all. And if Arcane is letting loose, he's going to transform this world, into something that is not supposed to be according to the Rot's plans. So what happens then next is that they only can win if Abigail is being killed. And then she will become the new avatar of the Rot. But that means that Swamp Thing cannot, see her anymore, because then she is being lost to him forever. So there's also time travel involved. So this Arcane comes back to the past. He devours old Arcane, and he wants to have a word with the Parliament of the Rot. Then Alec does what he doesn't want to do, kills her, and then she's been taken away by the Rot and being then transformed into something else. But then future Arcane comes and basically destroys the body of Alec Holland. He dies. And then we see the new avatar of the Rot, Abigail, basically saving the day. Now, there is a cool ending here, I must say. And because Alec Holland's body is dead, he is now the old body, the original body of the Swamp Thing. And then he sees his girlfriend for the last time, where she says, "Hey, I carried them through the darkness. I brought them home." And there is a very nice ending. Spoilers, by the way. So she cannot never go back to the swamp again, because she now has to live in the world of the Rot, while Alec is now the permanent avatar of the Green. And that's basically the end of the book. And this is the classic look of the Swamp Thing, the one that I grew up with. I like the most. We have also some sketches and character studies, I guess. Looks really cool. So what do I think about it in general? Well, there is the good thing is that let's say start with the good things. The good things is I like, if you this is a nice introduction to the Swamp Thing and the mythos, the backstory. That's what I really like. What the Green actually is, the Parliament, what they do for the world, and what and also the other avatar. The art looks good. You have a lot of content for $50, although I would, if you can get it secondhand or maybe cheap, just try it. But don't pay 125 for it. That's way too much. You get introduced to Abby, to the Rot, which is cool. The downside, I think, is that except for a couple of instances, Alec, Swamp Thing, is always weak, is entirely getting rescued by other people, dependent on other people. There is some instances that he can defend himself, and that all he looks cool. This is more like it's not really a redemption story, more than him trying to do the right thing, because he basically rejected the Green, the Parliament, because they want to turn into the Swamp Thing, and he says, no, I don't want to do that. I want to live my life and don't want to do anything with you anymore. But then when Abby is being in peril, in danger, he says, hey, I want to go back. They transforming into then King Swamp Thing, but since he needs to go to the place of the Rod, he's always being weak. So even in his new form, he's being weak. This thing with Abby here, transforming her into this monster, and then her coming back a couple of pages later, is also very underwhelming. Later on, when they are fighting the Rod, when in the future, feels very superhero-esque. It's nothing bad, but personal opinions, and it takes a little bit away from the horror part, which I think this was the best thing of this all. The ending is nice, I think, but like him and Abby basically saving him, it's not bad. I mean, these are basically two sides of the same coin, but it doesn't feel like that Swamp Thing has the upper hand here constantly. And I wish I see that more, that he is being the strong one, being the hero. And he says Abby a couple of times, I must admit that. But I wish that he was more, the overall hero and dominant presence here, instead of being reliant all the time on other people like Animal Man, even Abby here. But I like the horror aspect, the story, and that he basically, do what he needs to be, what needs to be done to, saving the love of his life, Abby. And then the ending is in my opinion very, very nice, that they, although they cannot be together anymore, true love is still, among them, although they are adversaries. But still, you need to have the animal man part of the story to get the complete story, I guess. So, guys, that's it for my review. It's a long one, but it's a lot of pages. I hope you liked the video. I hope I explained it correctly. So yeah, you can take a look at this if you want, if you are into Animal Man. I think the new 52 one is very, very good. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.